So I'm kind of feeling down, kind of feeling depressed or sad, something. I guess I just wish I had somebody to talk to. I was thinking about downloading Hilly, or maybe it's Hiley, I guess. Hilly. It's like a dating app, but I doubt I'd get any matches. Maybe I would, but every other dating app I've ever tried, they just dating apps don't work for me. I can meet people in real life just fine with it. But dating apps, like they're not very proficient for me. I have met some people from dating apps. Like I haven't had no luck, I just And when I was lifting, I actually met a lot of people. But that's the thing; it's so superficial and about your looks, which is fine. It's you gotta like look good. It's not just looks though. It's what you kind of are at the time. Like if you look good, you're gonna have good thoughts normally, unless you're an evil person. I guess it kind of depends, but yeah. Yeah, dating apps for me have never really worked, except the one time when I was lifting weights, and I got a lot of women that way. But that was like 10 years ago. I haven't really lifted weights that hard for a long time. And besides, that was 10 years ago. Nowadays, actually, lately I've noticed. That's why I wanted to try Hiley or Hilly or whatever it's called. Lately, I've noticed that women have been coming around a little bit more, and the newer generation is like 19, 20, or whatever. Uh, like Gen Z is like there's a lot of women. There's quite a few women in Gen Z now too, uh, who are of age, and they're not as bad. Like I'm 31, so I don't know. It's a little bit easier than like when I was in my 20s, I guess. So I thought maybe I'd have a better chance on Hilly or Hiley because of my age, uh, because the women are less experienced and I'm more experienced, and because I look different a little bit. I look pretty young still. So I don't know. What else? I shouldn't doubt that I might have some luck on Hilly, Hiley, or whatever. I even have some luck on Facebook dating. I usually get like one or two matches every like week or whatever. It's not very many, but they're pretty good matches. One was really good, but yeah. But I don't know, it's hard to get it can be hard to get women nowadays. Like 2015 was easier. That was like 2012 is when it started going downhill for most men. But I remember right before 2016 is when you could get like quite a few women if you only looked muscular and lifted weights and had a good face and weren't under 5'6", I think, or something like that. I was looking at some stats and I was like, okay, this is like, see, I was 5'7.5". I lifted weights. My face looked about like this. So I got quite a few women. But then 2016 rolls around and it's like, it was just like a drop off. Like the dating app I was using called Hot or Not changed its name to Badoo, back to Badoo, and then you had to pay to use it or whatever. And now you don't have to pay to use it anymore, but it doesn't really matter because there's just so many women going for the top percentage of men or whatever. And people aren't really talking about this as much anymore, I think, but I don't really care, I guess. I just thought I'd bring it up again. Nothing's really changed except that some women are being more lenient. Some are older too, is what I wanted to mention. Some are in their 30s, so they're a little bit less picky. Some of them are just as picky as ever, but they're still in their 30s. And I don't know. Yeah, women my age are good too. I figure I'll date a woman my age probably. But those ones are the ones from my generation are that like they're very like promiscuous. So they never settle down with one man for very long. And if they do, it's one of those like top percentage guys or whatever, or they're very old and gave up finally. Uh, yeah. I'm assuming the younger generation, the Gen Z, is also promiscuous. Uh, I think I think that's just how it is, in America. In America, it's just how it is. In Asia, it's a little bit different, I think. It's kind of the same, but it's not as bad. There's still some that aren't too terrible, too like promiscuous. So I've actually been looking at I've been looking on Instagram at Asian women's Instagram pages and trying to like them and talk to them a little bit. So yeah, it's hard to talk to them because they speak a different language. But Google Translate, you can just translate the text, send it, translate their text, send it. It's just yeah. So I've defaulted to Japanese women mainly because uh, the women in the U.S., at least the white women, they're very kind of hard to deal with, just because they're so promiscuous. You could say maybe I'm too short or unattractive, but that's just a mean insult. I'm actually above average, and I'm not very unattractive, and yeah, I'm not tall, but I don't know. These standards, man, they're crazy. I shouldn't say crazy, right? But they're crazy. But yeah, I'm somebody I've been having sex since I was 11, so I understand that I'm promiscuous too. But when it's if you're a man though, it's different because it's the old analogy. One key can open many locks. So if you have a dick, you can fuck many pussies or vaginas or whatever. Uh, but the lock can only take one key. And if you try to use another key, you'll break the lock or you'll break the key. I guess you'll break the key, but in real life, you'd break the lock, the vagina, the pussy, whatever. You wouldn't really break it, but you get it. You break the person, you break the woman if if a woman has too many partners, she's broken basically, and then she's destined or fated to never settle down for very long with any one man. And it's just how it is. And I keep trying to tell myself that it's different that it's different than that. That there's like forgiveness, and there is forgiveness for that. But actually, even if God forgave them for it, their biological imperative to procreate promiscuously has been activated, I guess you could say, and like that doesn't stop until they're dead or very old. I've even had advances from like 80-year-old women and 60-year-old women and 50-year-old women. I've always said no. I did have sex with a 49-year-old woman once. That's what she said she was, at least. She looked very healthy, and she lifted too, and I was like, all right, I guess you're cool. So I liked her. She didn't look very old. So that was back when I was 21, 20, I think, when I was 20, yeah. Uh, there was another woman, she was 19. She was older than me, I think, maybe. Just slightly older than me, not very old. Very young still, like 22 maybe. And she worked at Hooters, and I had sex with her. There's another one from Cincinnati, and there were many in my youth that I had sex with, but there was a small window of opportunity during that time for me to do that. I got lucky, kind of, man. I was lucky to like pick that time to begin lifting weights. And I knew to lift weights because I heard about it was like a trend back then. Like that's when things started really like everybody lifts weights now, at least on Instagram. But before, only the popular kids in school lifted weights, and I lifted weights a little bit in high school too because I did advanced PE, but it didn't really become super popular until about 2012, 2014 maybe. Whenever the hell Z's died, Z's, ZYZZ, Z's, Aziz Shaversion. He was from Australia. He died. Like he lifted weights. Like he went from very skinny, and he was okay. So he was very tall. He was 6'1.5", and he was very skinny. And yeah, he lifted, and then he eventually took Celtec, which is like steroids, and then got in a hot tub, and his heart started speeding up from anxiety or something. Or maybe not anxiety, but panic attack, and he died. And that was sort of like the moment when like everybody said, okay, we need to follow Z's. He was like the Jesus of bodybuilding. And that's when I started. That's when I started lifting weights. When I heard about that. So, yeah. I haven't lifted weights in a long time, like years. I kind of don't need to. See, I don't know, I'll show you my muscle. It's not the best, I guess, compared to like people who lift. It's still pretty good. I'm still pretty attractive, but yeah, compared to people who lift, man, there's always like this critical eye on you. Like my whole 20s was defined by a critical eye by women, especially in college. And it was just like I always tried to avoid those kinds of women. I just lifted weights and dated women who were attractive. There was this one woman I dated, and I got her by like she really liked my leather jacket. And there was another woman who really liked my leather jacket too, but I didn't end up getting to date her because I just didn't get to talk to her very much. I would guess I could have probably tried to ask her out, but I think she had a boyfriend, and I guess I could have probably asked her out anyway. But there was this other woman though. She worked in a bookstore, and I dated her for like maybe not even very long, like a week. But it was very like quick fling, and I got her by like lifting, of course, but I got her with my leather jacket. Like that thing was, yeah, my leather jacket is pulled a lot of women in college. So my leather, yeah, man, my leather pulled a lot of women. I wasn't really in college. It was easier because I don't know. College wasn't that hard. There was another woman down the hall from me. She had really big legs. Like she had really big legs, which I didn't really mind. You know, I thought that was kind of attractive. I was like, all right, you know, I don't know. That's the thing about guys, though. If you're not really picky as a guy, which you probably shouldn't be, uh, then then you're gonna like a lot of women. You know, the more you have sex with women, the less picky you become. If you're like me, at least when it comes to sex or whatever. I actually had sex a few months ago with two women. Uh, at the same time, I guess not at the same time. Like one, like it was kind of like one came into the room and then the other one came into the room. So it was like that. Uh, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a Catholic. I don't practice Catholicism very well when it comes to that. I'm very promiscuous too. That's the thing about America and women in America, man. Like I just sort of did what they did, you know, as much as I could. Women, that's the thing. I say I'm promiscuous, but the women of my generation are extremely promiscuous compared to me. Like they've had, like me, I've probably had 50 or maybe a few less than 50 partners. I don't know. Or I've had like I don't really know. I've had quite a few, but not very many compared to some people. And I don't know about most women, but a lot of women have had like I think I read like a percentage like graph that somebody charted out one time, and it was like what was it? It was like 20% of women have had sex with like five partners, and it was like 80. No, it was like 60% of women had sex with 20 partners or more, and then the other 20% of women who are really attractive have usually at least with some variable differences. Had had sex with like 100 or more. So yeah, and then some guys. I knew one guy. I didn't really know him, but I knew of one guy on YouTube who was in his 40s and he'd had sex with I think 2,000 women, maybe 1,000, 3,000 women. Not 3,000. I think it was about 2,000 women. So that was amazing. I don't know if I can't say I wouldn't want to do that, but in my mind, the ideal would be just to be with one partner who I really love. That's why I'm a Catholic now because I would like to do that if I can. So I keep trying to believe in like forgiveness and I'm not that I'm trying to forgive anybody. I'm just thinking like maybe God will forgive these women. Maybe these women will either become nuns, some of them maybe, or if they don't become nuns, maybe they'll settle down with one man who's a good man. You know, I don't know. But people say we're a nation in decline. I guess that's true. I figure it'll decline and then it'll improve eventually after maybe no war if we're lucky. And I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, this is a lot to talk about. I guess I'm gonna end the video now. See you later. Have a good one. Adios.